program, different classes, different things like that, but this class is really unique as far as the global leader of consequence situation, because it gives us the framework to be able to analyze the situation and then become that leader, understanding the region a little better, and not just, okay, this is Russia, this is what it is, but wherever we go, we have a way to analyze it and to kind of put the qualitative, ethereal stuff down to a hard, this is where things start to blend.
It's the true culture part of the actual cross-continent MBA. All of the other courses are normal courses. We're just in another country. Besides maybe Ccmba that brings into some other perspectives, but this is the one that really makes you focus on the region, why you're in another region, and brings that region into your learning, other than the other courses.
Cool.
Just in addition to those two comments, I think CCL is the one that have the international materials and backgrounds and introductions. I think it brings a lot of confidence, and when you're first talking to, for example, doing business in China, India, or Russia, or somebody from Middle East, you just have the confidence to open up the conversation. I think that's the only course that can give us this kind of confidence. And the format of the class is the rest of the class are only sitting in the classroom, but this one really go out to the city and go out to talk to different people. That's very different.
And we also get to learn from one another.
That's
so even when we are in the class, obviously the whole part of the structure is getting out and about, which is great.
It's more interaction.
Right, but when we are in the class, we get to sort of think about those frameworks, but then we take a step back and we remove ourselves and we get to learn from each other and what we think about it as a group and present an idea. It's also one of our very few opportunities in the program for formal presentation.
I think the whole ivory tower thing comes in very early, because it's just, you get relational models and cultural dimensions and all these strange phrases, and it's just a lot of academic speak all at once that doesn't really make a lot of sense, because you don't have a sense of what it all means. And the reality is, even as you go later down your careers and interact in international situations, you're probably not going to remember all these terms, but it gives you a way of thinking that you didn't have before. Just a way of thinking, an insight into, I need to start thinking about why things are the way they are. And I may not remember, in-group collectivism, I might not remember power distance, but I will know that, if I see a certain situation, I'll know what that relatively means as far as what I have to do to mitigate it, as far as a manager and things like that. Going back to the class for a second, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this class that initially might not make a lot of sense. You might not like it, you might not figure out what the point is, but the best advice I can say to you is just go with it. Just go with it, because at a certain point, somewhere between maybe terms 2 and 3, a lot of the stuff starts to click. And then you'll be there, and you'll be in another country entirely that we don't go to, and you'll start thinking in those mechanisms, and you'll realize where it comes into play. So just go with it.
Have faith.
Have faith, yeah. We went in kicking and screaming, and then in the end, it's our vocabulary now. We're talking about things in these relational models. It's like, what just happened?
It's definitely learning by repetition. The first couple times you're like, oh, I can't remember what power distance was, or, and all these things versus authority ranking and everything. But it really does start to click, like Farwan said, towards the end. And I have to reiterate it. If you don't remember the exact term or something like this, you say, okay, well, you don't go in and say, why are they doing that? That's totally, not what I would do in the United States or what I would do from wherever I'm from. You start to say, okay, well, why are they doing that? And you try to understand why they're doing it instead of asking why they're doing it. And once you understand, then you know how to work with them. And so it's an understanding and not a pigeonholing or a
You're not imposing your own way of doing business on other people. You're trying to adapt to their way of doing business and find common ground.
And to have a framework to think about it. So if I can walk into a region and I can say, well, this is very foreign to me and I have no idea what's going on, but I've got a couple of key elements that I can think about when entering into that region, and I can put what's happening before me that's making me crazy and making me confused, I can try to take a step back and put it into a certain structural framework to understand that environment.
Yeah, it gives you that basis to be able to do that on your own. When we first start, a lot of people wanted someone to come in and tell us what it's like to be in the region and tell us how we should operate in that region. And this class gives you the framework in order to come up with that on your own. So you don't have to have a new lesson every time you go into a new country. You're able to process it on your own and learn from your previous experience.
How about the other side? What's challenging about it? What's tough about it?
It really takes you out of your comfort zone. I think we're all, by nature, we're all business-minded individuals, so we think about finance and structure, financial statements, and how we analyze a situation from a numbers base or
Reading it in a
metrics
book or
base. Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. And this asks, it takes you completely out of our comfort zone and asks you to really think about things from a creative, sort of unknown.
Yeah. And it's awful the first couple times you do it. It's like trying to walk up to someone on the street that's completely from another culture, probably doesn't understand most of what you're saying, and ask them to be on camera answering questions that they're probably, not really allowed to talk about in a lot of these cultures. So it's uncomfortable, and it's still uncomfortable. I mean, after.
But it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, it becomes easier, but it's tough. And
So it's okay. You're telling them it's okay if they're uncomfortable?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yes,
It's
you're
good. It's
fine.
normal.
You'll get used to
It'll get better. It'll still always be really weird.
You'll get more used to being uncomfortable.
Okay,
It'll
that's
be-
good.
it'll
Nicely
be
put,
okay.
Jeremy. Any last words of wisdom for the 2011s? It could be outside of CCL.
Enjoy it. I mean, this is a life experience. This is unlike any other program out there. I think the level of conversation you're going to have with your classmates will astound you. And this is stuff that's happening in their lives today. You're going to see people asking you, how should I price things? How should I enter into this country? I'm thinking about taking my entrepreneurship venture here, and they're really doing it. This is not academic stuff. And you grow closer to people in a way when you travel with them that you don't any other way. And so you'll build these relationships, and you'll see each other, and each time will be like a reunion, and you'll have a good time with it, and just enjoy it, because it is going to be one of the best experiences of your life.
Goes pretty quick, huh?
Unbelievably.
Very fast.
They won't believe that when they hear this, but
No, it's
you're almost
Yeah,
done.
the first week, as long as you get through shipper's class, you'll be okay.
I'll be sure Catherine gets that.
No, but I guess my advice would be along the same lines. I mean, the class is amazing, the experiences are amazing, but the people are really what makes this MBA, sets it apart from all others. I mean, in our class right now, we have 2 people actually opening up production facilities in Russia within the next, either in the past few months or in the next few months. And to get their insight in class or just at the dinner table or something like this is just amazing. And then I think the connections you make will be lifelong. I mean, so it's, like I said, it's really the people.
Let's go to advice. So here you go. Just to make your life easier, class of 2011, here are the pearls of wisdom to make it through CCL and maybe even CCMba in
I would
general.
say just don't fight it. It's your automatic response that this is the format. It's so unfamiliar to most of us, and it seems so just kind of highbrow, out there, rather than practical, forcing it into these formats. But if you give it a chance, you'll learn from it, and by the first, probably by the third time, you'll start to you'll start to actually take something away from it and realize that it's there for a reason, not just to be
Give you a
difficult.
hard time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'd definitely say keep an open mind. It's going to be exactly what you were saying. It's going to be hard. It's going to feel foreign. But just stay open-minded about it. And then I would also say to pay attention. I think the thing that's really helped me in the program or in the class is to really pay attention to patterns in assignments. So you can really leverage your past assignments it's not, it seems like an overwhelming amount of work when you sit in front of it and you look at it and you're like, I have to do this 6 times across all these regions and there's so much writing but you can really leverage the work that you did prior and the research that you've done. So keep your notes, keep tabs on how you thought about approaching an assignment because you have to do it 6 times and just pay attention to that rhythm because you'll save yourself tons of work at the end of the line.
Rhythm is big.
Yeah.
Yeah.